How are we doing, everybody? UFC Thoughts here, and today I'm going to be recapping UFC 311 Makhachev vs. Moicano that happened yesterday. First of all, I want to say, sorry this video took longer to come out. As you guys know, pristine YouTuber UFC Thoughts, I record my stuff on CapCut, but of course, that app got fucking yoinked out of the App Store, or it's not even able to be used at the moment. I hope it'll come back to the fray soon. I'm trying out a new app, trying to see if it works, but yeah, let's get right into the fights. Let's get into the main event. Islam Makhachev versus Renato Moicano. It went about as I thought it would. Renato getting subbed in the first round. It was a little tentative on the feet up to that point. They both were kind of throwing, and Moicano was actually landing some jabs here and there. I think he landed like 3 maybe at most. He landed some things, but there was nothing really of note that landed like hard, I guess you could say. People will be glazing this fight because Renato seemingly quote-unquote knocked Islam down at one point, but it was clearly a slip. It didn't even land on the face. It landed on like his armpit or chest. Islam, after this, bounces right back up, kind of goes at him, gets the takedown over I think Renato threw a jab, and he took him down, gets into, like, half guard. Renato creates a scramble after getting controlled for, like, 2 minutes, ends up giving up his neck, gets darsed. It is what it is. Like I said in the lead-up to this fight, did I say this in the video? I don't know if I said this in my picks and breakdown. I don't think this makes Islam Makhachev the lightweight GOAT. I think he needs to beat somebody else. Renato Moicano on short notice. I get Renato was supposed to fight on this card. He was supposed to fight Beneil Dariush. Renato never should have been in the position to get a title shot in the first place. That's the whole thing. Islam needs to beat either Charles again or Arman. I would much rather see him beat Arman, but now it seems like we may never see that fight ever, if we're being honest, because Dana White is adamant that Arman Saruki needs to fight again before he gets a title shot, which, I mean, I get it, I guess, because Arman did kind of fuck up the entirety of the card. Not the entirety of the card, but the main card kind of got shuffled around due to him pulling out. They had to pay Beneil a whole bunch of fucking money. They had to pay Renato a shit ton of money as well. Probably had to bump Islam's pay because he's taking another fight on short notice. But it was kind of a shitty thing that if he did have the injury for a couple of like days, even like a week or so going into the fight, why did it take you till fucking weigh-ins to pull out? Come on, dude. But yeah, this fight, in my opinion, doesn't really do a lot for Islam's legacy. I mean, Renato was on a win streak, but I've seen him lose quite a few times, like finished. RDA, like, fucked this guy up. And I know that was 4 days notice or whatever, but RDA still beat the ever-living shit out of Renato Moicano. He, like, out-grappled him and everything. But, yeah, Renato, he'll be back, I guess. This was, like, a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. But, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. We move to the co-main event. Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Man. Merab won. It was a very competitive fight. I hate how some people are acting like the last 3 rounds were super dominant for Merab when they just weren't. Merab was losing the 5th round up until the punch that he landed that seemingly hurt Umar, and then the subsequent, quote, like, takedowns, I guess. The problem with Merab in this fight, in my opinion, I think there is an argument to give Umar a round of those last 3, in my humble opinion. I think there is an argument on damage. But I will say this, Umar's body language really kind of fucked him over, in my opinion. I really think that's what swayed the judges. Because Umar was kind of all over the place, and the takedowns weren't... It was a weird fight. It was a Merab Dvalishvili fight, I'll say that. It was a very much a Merab Dvalishvili fight. And they're talking about Sean O'Malley getting the rematch. I think he beats him. Basically, the fight plays out like this. Umar wins the first 2 rounds pretty clearly, in my opinion. He hurts Merab, rocks him in the first round, lands the most damaging strike. Merab doesn't really land anything crazy of note. It was kind of equal up to that point until the shot from Umar hurts him. Round 2, Umar clearly wins. It's another clear Umar round. He's tagging Merab up on the feet, gets a takedown, gets his back, wins the clinch positions, wins it all. Round 3 and on is where Merab really starts to push his pace, starts to get into his own fight. He doesn't do a lot of damage, but Umar seemingly is very fatigued and is kind of like herky-jerky all over the place, kind of looks very tired. Round 3 is a close round. That's like that's the swing round, I guess you could say, because I think round 4 and 5 were Merab's. And the worst part about it is that Umar was winning the 5th round up until the shot, up until he got hurt by Merab, and then the subsequent last 45 seconds where he gets taken down, taunted, taken down again, tagged with a couple shots on the come up. It just sucks if you don't like Merab. And the thing is, I like Merab more than Umar. I've said that a couple times. I'm more of a Merab fan. But man, it's just like, he's just kind of not skillful, in my opinion. And that's like the worst part about it, is like, this is a sport about skill. His style is so fucking weird. He's not even that great of a fighter. He just has an attribute that not everybody else has, which is God-given cardio. That's kind of like the wild thing, is that he literally cannot. He's just fucking all gas, no brakes. And Umar, to be fair, broke his hand, however you want to put that into it, I guess. It is what it is. Umar will be back. He had 6 fights in the UFC fighting Merab Dvalishvili. I guess just how bad is Corey Sandhagen? That kind of hurts because I'm a Corey fan and he got washed by Umar. But yeah, it is what it is. We move to the featured fight. Jiri Prochazka versus Jamal Hill. This is a banger, dude. This fight was so sick. Round 1, Jamal, it's kind of even. Jiri drops him. That's about all you need to know. Jamal was trading in the pocket afterwards. Jamal, I think he earned a lot of respect after this fight due to the fact that even while hurt, he was swanging and banging with Jiri Prochazka, and he seems very... After the fight, I will say it was kind of sad to see Jamal so sad. I guess, I don't know if you guys saw the walkout and the backstage video where it seems like humility is it's hitting him hard. The second round was Jamal Hill's round, very clearly, though. Like, Jamal Hill was having a lot of success after the first round. He was tagging Jiri to the body a lot. And then the third round, of course, it was kind of even. Jiri was kind of upping him up a little bit, though. Counter right hook, drops Jamal. Jamal gets back up. He gets tagged a bunch. He keeps throwing, and then he kind of just he's so kind of wobbled and out of it that he's pushing Jiri, but he's off balance and he just falls to his back and then gets finished with ground and pound. But yeah, Jiri looked very improved with his head movement. Looked very solid, I'll say. His striking definitely looked more tight and composed. His guard still is not good. He said he was going to keep his hands up. He did that shit for about 10 seconds and then went right back to the fucking low guard. But he got him. He got Jamal out of there, knocked him out. I don't see either of them beating Alex anytime soon. I don't see either of them beating Alex ever. If I'll be honest, neither of these guys ever beat him. I don't even know if Jiri beats Magomed Ankalaev. I don't think he does. I think Magomed would probably knock him out too. But great win for Jiri Prochazka. Like I said, improved striking skill sets. Head movement was pretty solid. That was probably one of the more vast improvements of his game. His striking honestly looked more crisp in this fight than any other time I've seen him in the UFC. His counter striking ability in this fight was very, very good. And I guess you could bring that to the labored striking of Jamal Hill, who I think broke his nose in the first round off of the knockdown and the subsequent follow-up shots, because Jiri banged him up in the first round, swelled up his eye. After that, kind of hilted a little bit. There was a duo of eye pokes in the second round that both sustained Yuri's way worse than what Jamal received, which kind of, I guess you could say, gave Jamal kind of a way to work his way into the round, kind of like what happened with what was the fight? Roman Kopylov last week against Chris Curtis, where it kind of seemed like he was fading, and then kind of the eye pokes, and then the nut shot, kind of like he was right back into it. But Great win for Jiri Prochazka. I love seeing him win. I know I picked Jamal Hill, and I know, like, I said I wanted Jiri to win. I got so fucking geeked when he hurt Jamal. Dude, it was so fucking sick, dude. We love Jiri around here, but great win. I don't know if you give him the rematch with Alex because, like I said, he did get fucked up. He did get really fucked up in their last fight. But I don't know who else you could give him besides Alex, I guess. Maybe Carlos Ulberg if he beats Jan Blachowicz. Maybe that's what you could do. Jiri versus Carlos Ulberg. Or Jiri versus, like, Khalil Roundtree, I guess, if you're feeling, like, glazing. If you're feeling in a glazy mood, you could do that. But, yeah, we move to Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak. Went about... no. Sergey looked well early on. Sergey kind of plotting forward. Jailton did the traditional teep kick. He didn't shoot right afterwards, though. He actually waited way longer on the feet, a.k.a. 20 seconds. He kind of got into a clinch exchange with Sergey. Sergey ends up hip throwing Jailton Almeida into full guard. And I was like, wow, there's no way Sergey Spivak's about to do this. Because there was a lot of upsets on this card. We'll get to it, don't worry. Sergey, like I said, hip tosses him, gets full guard for a while. Jailton doesn't really have a lot of jiu-jitsu off his back. I will say that. He doesn't seem to have a lot of submission threat off his back like the amount he does on in a dominant position. He kind of doesn't like swivel his hips at all to go for like arm bars, but he is looking for sweeps, and that's exactly what he did. Jailton Almeida isn't like he did a lot of his technique on the sweep was very good, but he is just so fucking strong that he kind of just like lifted Sergey right off his back and gets into a sprawl position or flips him right into full guard or something. Jailton gets reversal, gets in top mount for a little bit. But Sergey was landing a lot of good ground and pound. I'll add that. I'll say that before I move on in the round description. But he was landing, I thought at one point he seemingly like elbowed Jailton really fucking hard and hurt him bad. And I was like, dude, Sergey's about to fucking finish this guy. In the first round, I was about to be so pissed. Jailton then gets reversed by Sergey again, and they tumble a little bit, land more ground and pound. Jailton found his way back to the feet. And I was like, I said in the lead up, I said Sergey was going to have the better on the feet. Sergey gets wobbled by Jailton Almeida. And I'm like, what the fuck? Jailton hurts him with, he lands his right hand doesn't even land. It's like the uppercut that follows afterwards that hurts Sergey, kind of buckles him, he falls down. Jailton landed a lot of shit, gets into ground position, ends up getting his back, flattens him out, just kind of like, it's not even like Sergey was getting hurt by the punches. He blocked literally everyone. Everyone hit his glove. But it was one of those things where he couldn't move. You know what I mean? He couldn't move away from the position, so he was just kind of like taking unsustained blows and not really moving around. So you kind of just stop it. But Jailton won. Honestly, a decent performance. Showed improvements on the feet like I needed to see. Who could you give this fucking roid monster? Probably his best win of his career up to this point, right? Yeah, definitely his best win. You could definitely do him versus, if Pav beats Jairzinho, which will most likely happen, you could do him versus Pavlovich. Or maybe, no, don't do him and Volkov. Fuck off. Fuck that. Do him versus Gon. Do Gon versus Jailton Almeida. Don't reward Gon for that performance against Volkov at 310. We move to the start of the main card. Kevin Holland versus Reinier de Ridder. What did I say, dude? Reinier de Ridder immediately subs Kevin Holland in like 3 minutes. Yeah, I don't like Kevin Holland at middleweight. He kind of doesn't give a shit. And he gets easily out-grappled by bigger guys. It seems to happen every time when he fights a bigger middleweight. He just gets heavily out-grappled. What do you figure? Renier's grappling looked good. He kind of was like allowing Kevin Holland to attack submissions, though, which I'm not a huge fan of. But Kevin Holland is really one of the only middleweights you're going to find who is going to be constantly attacking submissions off his back. I guess you could say constantly throwing legs up. Most of the guys will just kind of accept position. But But yeah, Renier kind of controls him, holds him down, ends up in an awkward back position where he doesn't have both hooks in, has one, and I'm like, damn, he's about to get shucked off. Renier then like rolls with Kevin Holland and it ends up putting both hooks in. And yeah, Kevin kind of just like allows him to get body triangle and then gets the RNC and taps. Like, Kevin needs to lock in. He has so much like potential to like actually do shit, but he just kind of doesn't care enough. You know what I mean? And it pisses me off because I know that he can be good, but he just doesn't give a shit. And at this point, this dude's about to fuck around and get himself cut because he's like 1-4 in his last 5. And then prior to that, he's like 4-8 in his last 12, I think, or some shit like that. It's not that bad, but like, I want to say it's getting to a bad point enough where it's like, dude, you got to fucking lock in. Because I know he has 1 win in his last 5. He beat Chiesa. He beat... I mean, shit, it might actually be that bad. He has 2-0, 2-2, 4-2, 4-4, 5-4, 5-6 in his last 11. And he's gotten finished in how many of those? Well, he's only been finished like what? No, he's been finished in almost every single one. Jesus Christ. That's another thing. It seems like Kevin Holland's starting to quit in fights now. And I don't like that. Kind of sucks. I don't want to move to the next fight, if I'm being honest with you. I'm just kind of stalling time. We move to the featured prelim. Peyton Talbot versus Raoni Barcelos. Dude. What the fuck's happening, dude? What's going on? Man. This is... I'm so sad. I'm genuinely, like, I'm so upset that he fucking lost to Raoni. I figured Peyton would lose eventually. I figured he would eventually end up losing due to some rather open stance on the feet. And I knew that his grappling would eventually probably get, like fraud checked by, like, a higher level dude. But, dude, Raoni Barcelos isn't even that great of a grappler, bro. He really isn't. Like, he really isn't that great of a grappler, if we're being honest. And he completely shut down Peyton Talbot in the first and third round. I gave the second round to Peyton Talbot off of damage. That's just me, though. I think that he definitely could have won the second round. But I understand why they gave it to Raoni in the second because of the takedown, I guess, and he kind of got to dominant positions. But the second round was close. He clearly lost the first and third, though, which does suck. Like, that sucks. That sucks hard balls. Like, the takedown attempts weren't even good. That's, like, the worst part about it is, like, he didn't even get, like, beat by a great grappler. Like, if he got beat by, like... fucking who's a unranked bantamweight guy who's just kind of fucking people up. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. I can't. Like, if he lost... Like, I know Saeed Nurmagomedov isn't, like, a crazy... He's more of a striker first, if anything. But, like, if he lost to him in grappling exchanges, then I'd be like, damn. Like, that's not even that bad. Like, if he lost in the grappling to, like, Damone Blackshear, that's not even that bad, because Damone Blackshear is actually kind of a crazy guy on the ground. But he lost to fucking Raoni Barcelos, man. Like, that's not good. Like, some people are being, like, too kind about it, and like, dude, that's not a fraud check, man. Like, that's a fucking fraud check, dude. I know Raoni has good wins in the UFC. He beat Saeed Nurmagomedov. He beat Chris Gutierrez. Let's look at how old those fights were, guys. When did he beat those guys? He beat Chris Gutierrez in 2018 and Saeed in 2019. That's not even in this decade, guys. Ever since those fights, Raoni Barcelos is like, holy shit. 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4. Dude, he was 3-4 after that. He's an old man now. And Peyton got fucked up. He didn't get fucked up, but he got beat up at the end of the fight, at least at the third round. I think Peyton needs to lock in, needs to work on his takedown defense for sure, and never lose again, because that sucked to watch. We move to Zachary Reese versus Azamat Bikoev. Good win. Zachary was kind of doing his thing early on, landing stuff on the feet. He got his kick caught, I believe, and then taken down. He kind of was throwing a lot of jiu-jitsu off his back. Azamat ends up landing some very hard shots. Zachary Reese kind of freezes and then like kind of leans up, getting hit again. Got hit in the back of the head a lot. Not a lot, but enough to where you're like, those are back of the head shots. That's another one. Got another one. It seems like every time this guy throws his right hand, he's fucking landing on the back of his head. And it doesn't help that the ref, after Zachary Reese is basically unconscious sitting up, decides to slam him on the ground and make his back of his head slam on the canvas, knocking him out fully, like fully putting him out unconscious. What the fuck are you doing, you moron? Great debut by Azamat Bikoev. He's all right. Zachary Reese, he just kind of got TKO'd. Got touched up on the ground. It is what it is. We move to Bogdan Guskov versus Billy Alicana. Billy Alicana looked decent in the first round. That's about it. Got Bogdan's back for literally like 4 minutes of the first round, and then gave up. Bogdan finally got the legs unwrapped and then started beating the shit out of him. But Billy Alicana was landing like great elbows to the side of Bogdan's head, was threatening submissions. But then Billy kind of loses control. Bogdan gets to his back, shovel uppercutting him like for like 25 seconds in a row, and then locks in a rear naked choke that's like in, and holds it for way too long. Way too fucking long. He held on like 5 seconds after the bell, I want to say, and then finally released, and Billy like taps after the bell, and the whole crowd was like, whoa! By the way, the Intuit Dome is sick. I need to mention that right now. The Intuit Dome is fucking badass, and we need to go to LA more, because that was fucking dope. And the crowd, in the main card, it was insane whenever something crazy would happen, because they'd be fucking, it would be so loud. But anyways, back to the fight. Second round, Billy Alicana is just so gassed. He's so tired, and Bogdan starts piecing him up, landing heavy shots on him, and ends up getting to a point where Billy kind of just like sits against the fence. He gets hurt with a body shot and then kind of just sits against the fence. But like he couldn't knee him. Bogdan wanted to knee him so bad, so he's like shovel uppercutting him. And then Billy kind of just is like, you know what, just give me in a guillotine, guy. Got me in a guillotine. And then he tapped. It was a weird ending to a fight, but it was solid. I guess it was the first finish of the entire card, which we definitely needed. We move to Grant Dawson versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. It was a solid fight. It got scrappy during moments. Kind of just a showcase for how actually good Grant Dawson's wrestling is, I guess you could say. I don't think I've ever seen a guy control Carlos Diego Ferreira the way that Grant Dawson did in this fight. He was actually very good. I want to go to ESPN to see how many minutes of control time he actually had. Uno momento, my friends. How many minutes of control? 10 minutes. That's wild. 10 minutes of control time on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Holy shit. That's crazy. That's actually wild. Damn, Raoni Barcelos had 10 minutes of control time against Peyton Talbot. I'm not over it. But, yeah. Grant Dawson kind of got scrappy. Looked decent on the feet in the first round, throwing a lot of spinny shit, and then gets the takedown. Kind of holds down Carlos. Carlos kind of just looked old. He's 40 now. It was his birthday on the day of the fight. So happy late birthday, Carlos. You lost. Thumbs up. But, yeah, I've never seen a guy control Carlos the way that Grant Dawson did in this fight. It was a great performance. Wasn't the fight I thought it would be. I thought it'd be a bit more scrappy. I thought Carlos would be way trickier for Grant in the first round and a half. but kind of just didn't really do a lot. Didn't really land much on Grant Dawson either. Never really had a moment where he was like, oh shit, Carlos rocked him. Kind of just like old. Just kind of an old man. But yeah. We move to Carol Hossa versus Eileen Perez. Eileen Perez does it again, slightly outdoing mediocre WMMA fighters. And we get to see her kind of ugly. Like ugly face and her big butt. Her butt is big though. So it's kind of like a plus. Basically, story of the fight, first 2 rounds is determined by Eileen Perez's takedowns because Carol Hossa just doesn't have a killer instinct bone in her body. Third round, she's just kind of piecing up Eileen Perez. By the way, 30-27 for Eileen Perez as a scorecard is fucking egregious, may I say. That's a rigged scorecard. But, excuse me. That was too much of a burp. But, too much of a burp, I say. Gets inaugurated tomorrow. But, I'm joking. But, yeah, Carol Hossa just doesn't have a finishing. She doesn't want to finish fights, I feel. She just doesn't want to finish anything. Like, she'll leg kick Eileen to death and then not do anything with it. Fucking do something with it, lady. You're fucking hurting her to the leg. Fucking throw some meat on it and then land upstairs. Come on. That's the reason why I didn't pick her. I just feel like Carol Hossa she can't finish fights whatsoever. And Eileen Perez just slightly outdoing people, getting takedowns, toppling people over. Third round, she couldn't do it, I believe. Did she take her down in the third round? I don't think she did. I hope not, because that would kind of ruin what I've been saying this entire time. She did not. She got 1 takedown in the first and second round. The thing is, like, Carol outstruck her, like, significantly, like, well. It's just Eileen got to dominant positions. In WMMA, that really means something. We move. Oh, Rinya Nakamura versus Muin Gafurov. Fuck me, man. Both Rinya and Talbot in the same night? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm so pissed, dude. These were 2 guys at bantamweight I was really fucking geeked for. Is that video of favorite prospects? These were 2 of the guys along with Vinicius, right? Let me fucking find that. I think it was literally those. No, I had Marcus McGee as well. I didn't even have Vinicius Oliveira in here. Peyton Talbot and Rinya Nakamura were my 2 guys in that video, along with Marcus, who's now ranked. So Rinya, man, he just looked so bad. Didn't shoot a takedown until the second round, and he gets fucking stuffed. They had to have Carl Williamsed him. Great performance by Muin Gafurov, by the way. He was hurting Rinya in every round, outstriking him clearly, because Rinya is a wrestler who didn't shoot a takedown until the second round. What gives? But yeah, Rinya really pissed me off in this fight. Lost a lot of hype. All of his hype is gone. Because Muin Gafurov is not good. Like, at all. Like, he's not great. Like, I don't care what anyone says. If you picked Muin Gafurov, you're not smart. I don't care. Rinya was the right pick. It's just that he fought like an absolute fucking turd. He got Carl Williams. I fully believe that they went backstage and were like, if you shoot takedowns, we're going to kill your family. And he was like, well, I can't let that happen, so I'll just strike with him. Because this was genuinely one of the most weird performances I've seen out of a fighter who can wrestle at a very high level, who just decided not to. We move to Ricky Tercios versus Bernardo Sopai. Bernardo outworks him, does more damage, clearly, than Ricky Tercios. Ricky Tercios has an engine for days, but just doesn't really do anything with it. I think he probably won the first, maybe. Even then, that's kind of awkward to say. Round 2 and 3, very clearly Bernardo, just because that's when Ricky Tercios starts to reflect a shit ton of damage, and then he also gets dropped in the third round and beat up kind of bad. So, good win for Bernardo. Actually won based on cardio. So, good for him. Ricky Tercios, again, tried to rob a fight that he didn't win, like he did against Ayman Zahabi, just throwing a lot of shit. Bernardo looked good. It's a good win. We move to the start of the whole card, Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. Clayton's good. Tagir just kind of he out-wrestled him. Out-wrestled him the entire time. Took him down in every round. It is what it is. Clayton is good. He'll be a contender soon. He lost every round. Yeah. Via the grappling. he was out striking Tagir in moments, to be fair. Like, his striking looked decent. He was throwing some good body shots, landing good low kicks on Tagir. Tagir is slow, as always. Clayton looked good, but he's just a little too young. A little too young. What is he, 28, right? 28 years old. 2 fights in the UFC. Kind of just too young. I should have probably thought about that going into the fight, but, Tagir's, I don't like him. He's got a wonky eye. But, yeah, it is what it is. So, UFC 311. Did it live up to the hype? No, I will say that. The prelims were something I was really the main card was sick. I'll say that. The main card lived up to more expectations than I'd say. The prelims really bummed me out. There wasn't really a lot of cool fights on there. But 311, it was all right. It was an all right pay-per-view to start the year. I'll say that the main card was great. 4 finishes. Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar was solid. A lot of upsets. A lot of crazy upsets. You got fucking Rinya being an idiot. You got Peyton Talbot losing. Fucking Merab beating Umar. He was like a plus 200, but yeah. It is what it is. So there's no fights this weekend. I'll try and get it uploaded for you guys if I can figure out this new software I'm using. It's VN, I think is what it's called. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.